Oh my goodness. I see the dynamic duo waving their hands. Elka and Amy.
Hey, you
That's
guys aren't the only people who are together.
Kimberly and Roger
Two can
are
play in
together
that game.
too.
Who else is together? Let's see. Buddy up. That's awesome. Elka and Amy. So fun to see you guys.
Well, welcome you guys to today's Power Pack call. Roger, I think we have somebody special that we want to introduce today.
Yes, we do. Should we kick it off with that?
I think so. I think so. That would be great.
Well, I think most, if not all of you were here last week when Melissa and I shared that Melissa, after 11 fabulous years with Pottery, is retiring this year. And so we have hired a wonderful new national sales director, and she's sitting right next to me at this very moment because we are in Salt Lake. Trisha, we're here. We'll be with you tomorrow, and those at your retreat tomorrow. And so let me take just a minute and tell you a little bit about Kimberly and introduce her. And then I'm going to let Melissa also say a few words about Kimberly. And then we'll let Kimberly say a few words about Kimberly. And then we'll get it over to Kristen. Is that okay? All right. Sounds good. Well, I will tell you guys something. Kimberly is such a wonderful, just a wonderful, energetic is the word I was looking for, an energetic, passionate, excited, experienced, field-facing, field-loving person. And you guys are going to love her. And I'm so excited for all of those who will be in Utah tomorrow in the Salt Lake City area to meet her in person. All those who are going to come to Legacy in January to meet her in person. And in the meantime, Zooms will have to suffice. But I'll tell you guys something. This is a really, as you know, because you've worked with Melissa for so many years and you guys love her and have had, I mean, even last week, so many wonderful comments about how she has personally helped shape your life and your business and helped you through, the downs and celebrated with you and the ups. That role is incredibly important and one that I take very seriously, the idea of finding somebody who can step into that role and take us into the next decade, like Melissa has the past decade. And so it's with very sincere effort on my part and a lot of deliberation and conversations. And I wanted you guys to know, I interviewed over 10 people for this position, and these were highly capable, qualified people. I will just tell you that they all came through an executive search firm who had already screened, dozens of people through interviews and resumes prior. And so when I interviewed these individuals, it was interesting how often at the end of an interview, I'd kind of wrap up my thoughts and make some notes. And with almost every completion of the interview, I remember writing down, this person could do this job. I was like, this is, they're qualified, they're capable, they've got the skills, they've got the experience. This person could do this job. And that was the case also with Kimberly. But there's one thing that was different about the end of the interview with Kimberly. It wasn't just this person could do this job. It was, I want this person to do this job. And that's how I felt about Kimberly from, the early conversations that we had through the end. And so she's just fantastic. She can tell you more about her experience, which has been very, very, fruitful and a whole career in the direct selling space. I'll let her tell you about that. But I will tell you one last thing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Melissa, which is Kimberly is one of the handful of people like Melissa who has had a successful business in the field, then gone to a corporate role in direct selling and had different experiences there to when then they could come to Pottery and shape, what we're doing from both a field, literally being in the field perspective and being in multiple, corporate environments, supporting and leading fields. And so there aren't that many people like Melissa and Kimberly out there, honestly, and we're just fortunate enough that that we found them both. So with that, Melissa, I'll let you say a few words and then we'll turn it over to Kimberly.
Sure. Well, you guys, I couldn't be more excited about Kimberly. And you know, it's hard. It's hard when you put everything into, into your job and into helping as many people as possible. It's hard to leave, but I feel very, very confident that Kimberly will, take the reins and just continue this wonderful legacy that you guys have started. She and I have spent hours upon hours together already and still have many hours to spend with each other, just connecting and sharing information that will help you guys to move forward. So I couldn't be more proud to introduce Kimberly as the new national sales director. And I'm just super excited about everything that she's got planned for you guys moving forward.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Roger. I am very, very appreciative to be here with you guys. I'll share a little bit about myself personally and professionally and why I'm excited to be here. I know some of you I met briefly last week on calls. I'm excited. Who's here in Utah this week? I'm so excited to see you guys tomorrow. I cannot wait to actually finally get in front of you and get hugs, real hugs. But my name is Kimberly Harrell. I live out in the great state of Texas with my husband of almost 20 years and my two boys. I have an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old. And if you've ever been through that season of life, you know that their hobbies are your hobbies. So we do a lot of basketball, a lot of baseball, a lot of golf. My oldest son plays junior PGA golf, and he's currently on the Under Armour Junior Tour. And I'm trying to get him to play Roger, so we'll see who comes out on top.
Oh, I already know who will come out on top. Her son will, but I will be delighted to just carry his bags and learn from him. He's only 11, but he plays a great round of golf.
Yes, he actually had his you guys, you are metrics people. You are counting and tracking everything. So I'll share this fun tip with you. He had his best round of golf this last Saturday on the course, and he actually had an eagle, which means he was 2 under par, and it was a par 5, and he got it in the hole in 3. So this was a huge accomplishment for an 11-year-old. It was a big day. So we had a lot of fun with that. The other fun fact about my family is that we have 9 four-legged family members. One is our cat, Bill. We love Mr. Bill. And then the other 8 are not dogs. They are actually pigs. My kids raise pigs in 4-H. My husband and I both grew up in 4-H and FFA. And yeah, so we're continuing that tradition. We spend a lot of time, if we're not on the golf course, we are in the barn. So a lot of times, if you guys are texting me, I might text you, yep, I'm in the barn, I'll call you right back. Not great service out in the barn, but yeah, so I love it. I love it. Professionally, as Roger mentioned, I did start out in the field many, many years ago. I faxed my paperwork in to become a consultant at the time for a jewelry company. I really just wanted the products for myself. I was not going to sell them. I was not going to have a party. I was not going to build a team. And guess what? I fell in love with our industry. I fell in love with empowering people and supporting people as they work to earn, at that time, $150, $200 was really meaningful for a family. Today we kind of say that 300 to 500 range, but yeah, it changed my life. This industry changed my life. I had an opportunity, and actually know one or two of you from there, to go on to become a direct to corporate with a company that at the time was the fastest growing direct sales company in the US, and that was Origami Owl back in the day. And from Origami Owl, I transitioned over to the corporate side. I became a regional manager for Rodan and Fields, worked with 6 states, and then became a business development director working in US and Canada. I managed really the very tippy top leaders there and their entire organization, excuse me. And when I say manage, just help them, support them, work with their teams, rank advancements, programs, earning the trips that you guys all love. I am so excited about Paw Trip, by the way. All of those fun things. And I absolutely loved it. And then I had an opportunity, I was there almost 5 years. As we grew to $1 billion, and it was a lot of fun. It was a wild, wild ride. And then I had an opportunity to go to a health and wellness company called Amari Global. And Amari Global, over the last 2 years, has had phenomenal growth. We grew, I mean, just, it was insane. We're operating in over 50 countries. And so my most recent role there was a senior director of sales programs, which would be like your incentives, your trips, things like that, and events. So we had a lot of fun, but when I had the opportunity and I met Roger, it was interesting because Roger said, have you even ever heard of Poshri? And I said, well, yes, I have actually. And I think he was a little surprised, right?
A little bit, I
Yeah.
was. Most people, it seems like they haven't.
Yeah, but you know, Paw-Tree has been in a really elite category for the past 4 or 5 years, along with Amari Global. And so I recognized you guys as a peer that has been having success, year-over-year success over the last 4 years. You've had growth. And that list is like maybe 10 companies. It is not a huge list, and you guys are on it. And that speaks a lot to you. And the work that you do as leaders out in the field. And of course, your leadership team, Melissa, Roger, Tammy, and Tammy, all the folks over at the corporate office. So yeah, I've had my eye on Paw-Tree for a minute, but what I can tell you, and I'll try to go quick. Sorry, Kristen, I'm cutting into important Kristen time. But I can tell you, there are many reasons why I chose to come here. And some people have asked me, you're leading a global company that operates in over 50 countries. You're in a global role. Why Paw-Tree? And the answer is actually pretty simple. Roger is amazing. I don't know how often he toots his own horn, but the fact that I have an opportunity to be mentored by a Harvard grad, as someone who's worked for a Disney corporation, I don't take that lightly. I believe that we are most like the 5 people that we surround ourselves with. And I believe you all probably think that too. That's why you're here, right? To be with the best of the best and level up. So by the way, his work in the pet industry as a whole is also pretty amazing. Some of the boards that he served on, and I know, again, he doesn't talk about that a lot, but I'm going to start tooting his horn a little bit more to help you guys build credibility with our brand and our founder. We are not going anywhere. There's many companies going straight affiliate. I can tell you that is not Roger's intent, and that is also very important to me. Because this business changed my life personally and professionally. I never thought this would be my career. But I know the importance of being a true direct selling, a true multi-level marketing, a true network marketing company, and not just affiliate. So I really respect that. The other thing is it's genius. You guys may have heard me say that last week, but it's genius. Kristen and I talked about this morning. You guys, it's a $140 billion industry with pet care, and nobody is doing it in MLM. Like, what? You guys, I built a $1 billion brand in skincare. Do you know how much competition is in skincare? Do you know how much competition is in health and wellness and drink packets that go in your water? A lot, okay? A lot. So what you guys are doing is huge, and you have a great opportunity. The last thing I want to, well, 2 last things, I'm sorry, is how many of you have heard of Scentsy? Scentsy, everybody knows Scentsy, 31 Gifts, right? These companies were around for over 10 years, over a decade before they became household names. Again, Kristen and I had a quick chat this morning, and she said this without knowing that I had said this to Roger, but the next 2 to 3 years, and especially the next 5, are very, very pivotal. I've only had 1 cup of coffee now. Pivotal to our business and to the growth that we are about to have. And I believe that these next 2 to 3 years, especially as we go into 5, we will become a household name. And that is really, really exciting. And by the way, we need all of you to do it. And this is the last thing. I need you all to come to Legacy because I want to see you. I want to hug you. If you're not an executive director, right?
That's right.
If you're not there yet, I am begging you and pleading you to make it a goal for yourself to achieve that. So I can see you. I want to see you. I want to get to know each and every one of you. And I have taken way too much of Kristen's time, but I'm so excited to be here and to start connecting with each of you. So thank you for having me.
Welcome, Kimberly. Isn't she fantastic? You can see why Melissa and I both are so excited for her to join our company and to have an opportunity to meet each and every one of you guys. So thank you, and really nice to have you here together, and look forward to seeing some of you in person tomorrow. And I just have, before I pass it over to Kristen, I have two things I want to share. One is a question for you guys. Do you remember what commitment you made to join this power pack? Just put it in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself and say it. But there was a commitment to enter this power pack. Yep, you guys got it, which is to work full-time for 90 days, right? That was the only criteria. And who did I ask you to make the commitment to? This might be a little bit of a trick question, but I want to make sure that we're clear on this. Who did you make the commitment to? All right, you guys got it. Yep, I couldn't trick you. I asked you to make the commitment to me, but more importantly, to yourself, right? This is a commitment to yourself because you have a vision to do something bigger with your pottery business than you've accomplished to date. And we talked about effort counts twice with Angela Duckworth's book, right? Grit, and how when we put effort into things, we got to put the effort in first, and the effort we put in counts twice in terms of the success. There's a lot of other factors that can, factor into success, but the effort that we put in, which again, the wonderful thing is we control our own effort. And you guys made a commitment to put more effort than you have in the past. Most of us were not working anywhere close to full-time. You made a commitment to put significantly more effort, and you made that commitment to yourself because you have aspirations and belief in this incredible vision. Everything Kimberly just said, everything that Kristen has said from stage, about the diamond in the rough that we are as a business. And so I just wanted to remind you guys that, because we're now about 2/3 through. And the last thing I want to say as I pass it over to Kristen is, in addition to remembering that you made a commitment to yourself because of something that you wanted in your future that you haven't accomplished yet. There was a reason you made that commitment, right? So don't lose sight of that. I hope you don't lose sight of that. And the second part that I wanted to tee up this morning is, some of you might feel like, you know what, I'm 2/3 into this and I haven't, now fill in the blank, right? We all can make up the I haven't thing. I haven't put in the full time I thought I was going to, or I haven't got some of the results that I thought I was going to get, or I haven't been as successful at this, or I'm putting in the time, but I'm not putting in the time in the areas I know I need to, or whatever, right? There's all kinds of, and ultimately the haven't might be, and I haven't achieved the level of success that I would like yet. And what I want to remind you guys is, we have over a month left in this power pack. That's a lot of time and focused energy. So if any of you are even remotely thinking to yourself that you haven't, put in or gotten out what you really wanted to when you made that commitment to yourself, now's the time to recommit, right? Recommit to yourself. And if you want, you can recommit to me if you need an accountability partner, or to somebody on this Zoom who is your peer or your friend or your upline. But ultimately, it's a commitment to yourself and a recommitment. So if any of you are sitting there thinking that to yourself, that you haven't done or achieved all that you have wanted to so far, now is the time to recommit. And I know Kristen's got a wonderful whole, like, we're gonna have to condense it to 40 minutes, but I'll turn it over to you. Sorry to take so much of your time this morning, Kristen. But there you go. And I believe in every one of you guys, there's still time to have the effort, the impact on your business that you want, if you commit and put in the effort, because effort counts twice. Over to you, Kristen.
Yay, so glad. All right, let's do this. Hope you all are awake, caffeinated, ready to go. Just real quick, I have zero dog in this fight in saying that I am sincerely so excited that your company has brought on Kimberly. Like, I had a brief chat with them before Power Pack, and just as I was sharing some of my observations, some of the things that I see in the future for pottery, and some strategies I was sharing with Roger, Just Kimberly and I kept aligning over and over again on so many things. And again, like I have no dog in this other than wanting to see Patri succeed. So when I just heard her approach, saw that what she was saying, I was like, oh man, I just want you guys to know, if you didn't know, you guys are in great hands. So I'm really excited for you guys. I think, remember at the convention when I said, hey, when we were in the West End and I said, look around, I said, remember this, because it's not going to be like this in a couple years. You're going to be in a convention center with thousands of people in Vegas or in a large arena. You're not going to be in the West End anymore. Do you guys remember me saying this, saying like, look around, remember this? Okay. Same Zoom call. You're going to remember this. You're going to be like, I remember when Kimberly came on and she also talked about like the ground floor opportunity with with a foundational company that's been a legacy company for 10 years. Like you guys, you're going to remember this, but I will tell you this is going to be a little bit of a wake up call. Now is your time. If you weren't on board fully from PawFest and I was talking to Roger about this, and when you guys were given this opportunity to join the Power Pack, it was on the heels of your convention and you being all together, and the emotions are high. The emotions are high, the excitement is high, the belief is high, because you just rubbed shoulders with everybody. You gave Roger a hug, you said hi to everybody on corporate, you brought your dogs around, you watched people walk stage. And so like, it's very easy to make a decision from a place of motivation. But then when motivation is gone, we're always left with our current level of commitment. And I find that you've noticed now there's some distance, there's been some time that has passed from your emotional decision to commit to 90 days of going all in. And you've probably noticed like the emotion that might be left might be frustration, might be defeat, might be a little bit of annoyance. Okay, first of all, I want you to know those are all normal emotions you are going to experience in business, no matter how big your paycheck is. I promise you, even Roger has days where he's annoyed and frustrated. I know that might be shocking for you, but like he sometimes looks at the data and is like, why isn't it here? Why are we not doing that? But I'll tell you what he's not doing. I'm sorry, Roger, you're just gonna be the person I talk about today.
Yeah, I don't
But
mind. Go for
but
it.
here's what
You're
he's
right.
not doing. Your data is meant to help drive decisions and help you figure out where to put your time, effort, and energy. What Roger is not doing is not looking at the data and making it mean something about him, about you, or about the company, or about the vision. He's just like, I know what I have. So my job is to keep trying until we actually get the results we want. What he doesn't internalize when he sees like the company either not doing what it wants to, what he's hoping for it to do, is he's not internalizing, this means I'm a bad CEO, this means Patri is a bad thing, this means that, I wasn't cut out for this. Like, part of maturing as a business owner is changing the conversations you have about yourself and your business when you're looking at the data. And an amateur will look at data and make it mean something about themselves. Make it mean like, I'm not cut out for this. This is too hard. Nobody wants this. They'll question the opportunity, be like, see, nobody wants to spend the money on pet food. They want cheap stuff from, wherever, or nobody wants to work online. Everybody's lazy. And we tend to tell stories that remove responsibility from problem solving when we look at data. That's what amateurs do, is they're like, how this is everybody else's fault, or it's all my fault, and they make it mean something about them. Whereas a professional, they look at the data and they say, all right, what is working and how do I double down on that? What is not working and how do I fix that? This is the game we play. And we take radical responsibility for the results that we're currently seeing. So I want to invite you into maturing your conversations with yourself when it comes to business. And it's very easy and normal to have amateur thinking with business, especially when you're a novice in business, and that's okay. But making a decision from an emotional place and expecting the emotion to ride out until next PawFest is amateur thinking, oh, I'm excited, woohoo, power pack. And then I always see it, life happened. I'm like, okay, life is always lifing, guys. Life is always lifing. What are you doing to set yourself up for success while life is lifing? Because oftentimes we're waiting for life to slow down, to simmer down, for it to be less stressful. And I want you to ask yourself, what does my work look like if my life were to never slow down? And if my life were to never, quote, get easier? I realized, and I've shared this before, but there's a lot of meaning to this, and we're going to kind of go into some coaching here, but here's what I'm calling you to, is you may have realized that this business cannot be worked from convenience, because the times that it is convenient for you to make a post, to show up on social media, to go live in your stories, you've probably noticed that 98% of the time, it is not convenient. If anything, it feels like the greatest inconvenience to you as you live your life. How many of you feel that? Being like, yes, working my business feels like an inconvenience to me. Okay. That's when we have to actually ask ourselves, all right, how do I make this a business about commitment to myself, to my future, and what I say I want? And so we have to ask ourselves, how do we prioritize a business with a busy life? How do we make something that is never going to feel convenient? And we need to stop having that conversation, because when people say life got in the way, I'd be like, oh, your business wasn't convenient to you anymore. It means you actually had to carve out time. You had to sacrifice things. And so instead of being surprised by that, I want you to ask yourselves, what does my business look like if my life never slowed down? If this is my life, and maybe you're in a really chaotic season, I need you to ask yourself, how can I work my business in a chaotic season so that when it slows down, I'm not showing back up to my business, starting over. I'm pouring lighter fluid on it and going faster. That's when I get to accelerate my current results. But too many people, they take their foot off the gas. They're like, okay, I got to just go focus on these things over here. And then they wait for life to slow down, and maybe life slows down a little bit. And they're like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to give my time and attention to my business. They barely, and guys, remember the law of compounding results. Remember why I said 90 days? Like, it takes you have to put in the consistent effort that compounds for it to hit the tipping point. Why do some people never hit the tipping point? Because they quit. They quit before the magic happens. They start getting some momentum. Oh, life gets hard. And then they take their foot off the gas. And guess what they have to do? They have to rewarm up their audience, get back into the habits, get back into those things. And actually, how many of you realize it's that much harder when you come back? It's harder when you come back. If you've ever run before, I did a brief season of my life where I tried running. I'll never do it again. I don't like running. I don't know why I tried it. But in that season where I had less than questionable sanity, I decided, okay, I'm going to do this running. And I ran every day. And I traveled for a week and I didn't run. And when I came back, it was like my body forgot how to run. It was so painful. It was excruciating. I was like, I should never have stopped. I should have figured out a way to do minimum viable work when it wasn't inconvenient, so I wouldn't have to start over. So here's my thing, guys. Maybe you all started from excitement and enthusiasm and lifed. And you didn't know how to figure out how to work this business from commitment, because as a novice, you didn't know. Now you know. So now I'm going to invite you to buy back into your commitment, to buy back into why you said you were going to do this. I want you to take the last 7 weeks, and we are not going to judge them at all. I don't care if you're like, Kristen, I had a strong 2 weeks and then I disappeared. Life got crazy. In the last 4 weeks, I've done nothing. The temptation for you would be like, I'm going to wait until Roger launches the next power pack, and then I'll show up for that one. And then I'll do a good job with that one, and I'll really crush that one. How many of you have already caught yourself saying that? Like, no, we don't judge you. We don't judge you. This is normal thinking. You guys have coached hundreds of thousands of people. This is just what happens, okay? It's like the diet starts Monday type of thing, right? Oh, fell off the wagon. I'll start again Monday. All right. I'm inviting you right now. What separates the good from the great in this business is the people who have the keep going mentality, not the start over. We are never going to have the start over mentality. So right now, I'm inviting you to keep going with me, to buy back in. And if that means we have to get back to the foundational things of reach outs, making posts, doing stories, start now. You have to we're going to remove the guilt, and we're going to say, ha ha, it's not a wash. You learned something. I don't care. Like every failure is a lesson. So if you're like, I failed to show up, what was the lesson available for me in the last 7 weeks? I learned that I can't just make an emotionally propelled decision and expect that to carry me. I learned that I plan to work this business when life isn't lifing, and I need to actually figure out how to work this business when life is lifing. I need to figure out what that looks like. I've learned that I can't keep waiting for my results, that I actually have to do my work. Okay. So there was a lesson for you. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to take the last 30 minutes and I'm going to coach a couple people on like how to buy back in. There's two things. This is always at this point is what I see from the data as a coach. This is where I see the two roads and they start to diverge. Okay. There are the ones who stay the path, stay the course, and just now they're starting to see the tipping point. And they're like, okay, I'm starting to see some traction. I'm getting new followers. I saw a couple of you share like, hey, I got my biggest paycheck last month. I'm finally getting some new followers. Like, remember, we've talked so much about leading indicators. So usually I see the ones that are like, all right, things are going well and things start to move. And then I see the ones that are like things in their mind, and it's all based on how these people are reading the same data. And then there's this group that's like, every time they looked at the data and it didn't do what they wanted it to do or hoped it would do, their activity decreased, which only hurt their results further. And so what happened is while this group is starting to perform, this group is also starting to decline in their performance because they're not being as consistent. So this is usually where I see the gap, always here. So the last 5 weeks, you still have an opportunity to absolutely crush it. Because guess what? The next 5 weeks are going to pass, whether you want them to or not. I want you to ask yourself, what do you believe is possible in the next 5 weeks? And if you don't think much is possible, then you're going to act that way. You're going to be like, I don't know, maybe one pet pro. And be like, and then if that's your belief, you're going to show up with like, maybe there's going to be one pet pro. Maybe there's going to be one person, maybe I'll post, right? Instead of like, hold on. I believe I absolutely can get 10 new customers. I believe I absolutely can get 5 new pet pros on my team. I absolutely believe those things. And then we align our actions to the belief. That's always what works, is aligning our actions to the belief. So here's what I'm going to ask. Who is needing some coaching on jumping back in and really going hard these last 5 weeks and knowing life is going to life isn't going to slow down. And now they're working from a different motivational fuel, different fuel, commitment instead of motivation. So if that's you, if you're like, Kristen, coach me up, help me, give me a loving pat, spank, whatever it is, then fine. Hands, who wants some coaching on that? I see Joe. Joe, I see you had a question about like you've been locked out of your Facebook. So here's what I'm going to ask you. Here's how I'm going to guide you. Go ahead and unmute yourself. And this is going to be quick for you. This is going to be quick.
Well, I need more help than that, but that's part of it.
Okay. Well, first thing, what can you do? What is in front of you? What is in your hands that you can do?
I could focus on a different platform and I haven't done that.
Why?
I think because all my focus before getting locked out was on Facebook.
Okay.
And so it felt like starting over, I guess.
Okay. And
No,
and if it's starting over, then okay. So what if okay, I'll give that to you. So what if it is? Then what?
Yeah, no, I shouldn't have let that stop me. Absolutely. I agree. I've been in a weird headspace. I think, I've been doing really well on sales. But I'm still really struggling with sponsoring. This has been the bane of my existence in direct sales in general. And I have not figured out the block. I talk to a lot of people, I get a lot of interest, and I can't seem to take
You get a lot of interest in the business?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Interest, first of all, that's great. The fact that you have interest tells me getting interest isn't the problem. It tells me that converting interest to a purchase or interest to joining is the problem. And so if we're going to have a professional analysis with this and not a novice one, not an amateur one where we're making it about ourselves and shame stories, what do you think is not working in the conversion? Where is it falling flat? Is it getting them to a PBO? Is it getting them to decide? If we were going to look at like the steps from someone showing interest to them signing with you,
Yeah.
where in the process do you see it breaking down?
Immediately once they're not standing in front of me anymore. Getting them to a PBO, basically that next step, or onto a three-way call, or even into a conversation.
Cool. Let's go there. So tell me what the interest looks like and sounds like when it happens.
So they will be interested, and I will ask them, I'll tell them that I have, a quick 20-minute video I could send them that would answer some of their initial questions. And then, I could answer any further questions beyond that.
And then what happens there?
They always say yes.
And then what do you do?
And give me their contact. Well, I shouldn't say always. Occasionally they walk away, okay, yeah, I'll be in touch, and I know they won't be, and that's fine. But very often they'll give me their contact info. But then when I follow up with them to get a commitment to watch the video before I actually send the link, I don't hear from them.
Okay. And you say this, does this happen in person or online?
I'm almost entirely in person.
Okay, great. We're going to stay with that. And this is what I'm going to do. Okay. So tell me, because there's either you are misreading their interest and there's not clear communication on the follow-up. Okay. So do they say, tell me how you know that they're interested? They say, yeah, I could learn more. How's that happening?
So very often I'm moving into the opportunity either because I've discovered that they have a lot of pets.
Okay.
Or I've discovered that they're already in the pet space somewhere, grooming, rescue, whatever.
Love it.
And so I am usually approaching the business conversation as a way to either save money and potentially make money, or a way to expand the offerings for their clients.
Okay. So you say that, and then they say what?
And I mean, I don't know. I usually feel like it's a fairly strong interest. It's not a casual. If they're willing to actually hand me their contact info, I feel like this isn't a casual.
Okay, good. Some people are just going to hand you their contact info, so you leave them alone. So you actually have to vet them before you give them the contact info. So this is where I think you're talking at them. And this is where I think you need to ask some more questions, being like, would you have interest in partnering with a pet health and wellness or with a pet health company to better care for your pets, potentially earn money online and care for your customers? Has it been that direct?
No, that's not wording that I've used.
Okay.
I usually say this is, this is a great opportunity for you to, expand your offerings or whatever like that.
Okay. All right. So they say that, and then they say, I'm trying to find the problem in the conversion here. Here's what needs to happen is, let's say they say interest and be like, I think you need to get a little bit more onto because anybody would be like, oh, do you want to make more money in your pet clinic or with your services? Yeah. That's where I want you to be more investigative on your side. So you actually have information to say back to them. So being like, oh, how long have you been in this industry? Oh, like 10 years. That's awesome. Okay. So what is your biggest struggle with your business? Oh, it's kind of slow season, or those things, being like, oh my gosh, totally. I get that. If you have interest, I've partnered with a pet company. It's, and it's pretty much a startup company, and it's amazing. And this is ways you can earn money. Would you have interest in learning more and exploring that? You want to get a very clear, yes, I would have interest. Being like, great. What's your contact info? Okay. get the contact info. And then you're going to tell them, you're going to ask them, when's a good time to follow up with you? You do want to put them on the spot, because what you're doing is I want you to see it like as a business conversation you're taking seriously and being like, hey, when's a good time for me to check in with you? Evenings typically good, mornings, midday. Get them to tell you, okay, awesome. Let's do, and so they say, usually between 7 and 8 o'clock at night. Cool. Let me pull up my Google Calendar. I'm free at 7:30 tonight. Does that work for you? Yeah, it does. Cool. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you a text. Actually, I'll send you a text right now, so you know it's my number. That way, you know you have their real number. Cool. Awesome. I'm Joe. Great. So I'm going to text you back at this number tonight and we'll chat. I'll call you or a quick Zoom me or whatever, and we'll chat again. And again, you want to reach out at the time that they agreed to, because now it's not a surprise. They know it's coming. And what happens is when you're getting them to agree in person, you're going to actually know if they're genuinely interested. Because what's going to happen is the person who's not interested is going to start seeing themselves out of the conversation. They're going to be like, actually, no, you know what? Nah, I'm not that interested. And then like, all right, cool. Well, here's my number just in case. If you change your mind, I'd love to help you and serve you. And here's my social media. Follow me. I'm usually posting helpful content. I know your social media is closed, but we'll just put a pin in that for now. And then, so when you reach out to them, say, hey, it's Joe. We met at the park. Good to talk to you. You said now would be a good time. Do you have a few minutes? Guys, phone calls go so far because there's inflection, there's tone. I would encourage you, when it comes to business conversations, go the extra mile, pick up the phone, because you're closing, like you converting somebody from a maybe to a yes is exponentially higher when you're willing to get on the phone. So be like, hey, let me call you. So then you call and be like, cool, while you're on the phone with me, let me send you a link, or let me send you a video, or whatever it is. And then from there, notice how it's not just like, hey, are you interested? Cool, here's my number. And then they ghost you. You want to be able to and especially in your conversation, being like, I just remember you telling me that that you were hurt for income in between, as a pet with pet rescue, it's not a great source of income, and you find yourself kind of scraping by still, and you really care for animals. So this is a way to really help financially with that. You always this is for everybody, guys. When you're recruiting, you want to repeat their pain back to them. Hey, because when you've gotten to know them and why they're interested, that's where they're like, well, you had mentioned that I know that. So for example, I know that, groceries are really expensive now, and you're kind of having to lean out, you're clipping coupons, and you've never had to do that before. Or instead of shopping at your normal grocery store, you're shopping at Walmart and you're not able to buy organic anymore. You want to be able to repeat to them, because sometimes when they hear it back, they realize, oh yeah, I don't like that. I do want to fix that. And so I would just say, Joe, the fact that you're getting interest, it sounds like you're getting the conversations, which is a big deal. I just want you to clean up how you're setting up the follow-up, how you're setting up. So ask a little more questions, figure out their pain. Because again, I want you to, this is for everybody. Your job is to also vet people. Make sure, are they a good pet pro? Is there a need here? Are they going to be somebody who takes action? Or is this just like, is this going to just be a glorified customer? And there's a place for every person, but it helps inform you what type of conversation you're going to have. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that help, Joe?
It does. And I've
Yeah.
known that asking questions has been a weak spot for a while. I just because I get stumped with what questions to ask. I'm much better at answering questions.
Yeah, but you'll find what happens is when you ask questions, they end up selling themselves, because they're saying like, yeah, this is kind of what's going on. Yeah, it would really help if I did that. Like before I had my education company, people would get on discovery calls with me, and I would just ask some questions, being like, well, where are you frustrated in your business? What have you tried? Why isn't it working? Okay, if we could solve anything, what would you want me to solve? What tools have you done? Why do you think it's not working? And because I'm just trying to figure them out and actually be like, are you a good fit for what I offer? And what happens is, as they keep talking about their problems, they become more aware of their need for my solution. The more they talk, the more they sell themselves. Okay. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I just want to, first of all, I just want to say it's fun. I love that you have interest, Joe. This is great. This is now we just tweak where we fix. You guys always want to look at the steps of your process, of your sales process. It's like, okay, I'm making a post and I'm getting comments, but I'm not getting customers. Okay, where's the disconnect? What do I need to tweak in here, guys? But when we're looking at like, I'm making posts every day, but nobody's buying from me, and then we're shame spiraling, we're not actually problem solving when we're shame spiraling. We're just beating ourselves over the head and feeling bad, right? For me, I guess I want you to see yourselves as investigators, as like, my job is to investigate where there is a break in the sales process. I like to think of it as one of my good friends. He helps run $100 million ads for different companies. And he's like, I like to think of a sales process like a garden hose that has kinks in it. And my job is to find where's the kinks in the sales process so that I can increase the flow. And you always want to start with the kink closest to the spout. So it's like, that's your job. You have to look at your flow of income, your customer pipeline, and ask yourself, where is the kink in the flow of talking to people and getting them to become customers. Okay. This is the professional conversations we have, not the amateur conversations we have with ourselves. So, Joe, thanks for volunteering. That was great.
Thank you for your help.
You're welcome. Okay. Let's see. Who else is needing some coaching on like accelerating the results these last 5 weeks? Whether it's your belief in what's possible for you, doing the work is important. Oh, you know what, Lisa? I want to actually check in with you after I challenged you last week about stories. Lisa, have you done stories? And we talked about and your bowling friends. Okay,
Yeah,
you
I
did,
have.
Lisa.
I have. I've done stories. Yep. I've been getting at least 3 a day, which for me is a huge, because like you said, it is what were you saying earlier about the inconvenience of doing them.
Yes.
Because I
Yes.
get on my phone, my husband's like, what are you doing on your phone now? I have to do a story. And last night we went out for dinner for my birthday, and I said, and my phone died, of course. So I said, take pictures with your phone. Why? I said, because I have to do stories. Seriously? I said, yes. And he took the pictures. He did exactly what I wanted. And yeah, so I've been doing at least 3, which for me is a huge accomplishment.
Can we all just give a huge round of applause for Lisa doing the thing? Like,
Yeah.
Lisa, I'm so proud of you. Like she said, this is my obstacle last week. I'm not posting in my stories and I need help getting through that. And the fact that you took the action and that you are saying a different story this week, this is how results happen. And I'm really proud of you. Good job,
Yeah.
Lisa. So great.
It's getting easier. It's getting easier.
It
So,
does. And you're going to
yeah,
be doing it without even thinking about it. And I just want to challenge one little thing you said, especially with your husband, because he doesn't get it, right? He's like, what are you doing? Instead of like, I have to make a story, I have to make a post, you can say, I'm working.
Oh no, that's even worse.
Or just say,
He thinks I work too much as it is.
he probably sees you doing busy work and not actual work. So it'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm working on these. And, so just say like, I'm making a post to talk to my people, whatever way helps you, because I have to, it carried you this week, but it won't carry you the next.
Yeah.
Couple. So
I hear you.
Because, you might have heard me in the back of your head being like, Kristen Boss told me, and she might ask me next week when I show up and that. But what happens when Kristen Boss isn't there? What happens when my voice isn't there? That's where you have to remember, like, I'm doing this for me and here's why, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But well done, Lisa. So great. I'm so proud. I'm so proud. So good. All right. Who else? Pauline, I think you have a follow-up. You're going to give me an update since we've kind of chatted on what you've been, your prospecting. What's your update?
Yes. So, what I actually did, everything's going great. My follow-ups are getting better. I have a lot more coming out of my funnel now. And I've worked with a couple of the other ladies and they've helped me with suggestions on what to say, how to say it, because that's what I am faltering. I always knew that it had to be what I'm saying or how I'm approaching. So I'm getting better at that now. And I can see my conversations going further now. So they are taking the right step. But what I did want to add is for those of you who also find that you don't know where to find people, I was in this position because I can no longer carry a tent with me and do vendor shows. It's just too heavy for me unless I have somebody going with me. So I'm locked into, well, maybe some indoor shows, and they're not as good around here unless you go to a big convention center. But what I did do is I put out on Neighborhood, and most of you might have something like that in your area. I put a blurb out, women 50 plus. I just limited it because after my husband passed, I need an outlet. I need more people. I'm a people person. And I know you all know that. But and I got 12 people in the first 2 days. I got 15 people. I had 35 people. I am now up over 50 people in this group. We only had one meeting last week. I broke the group down into a networking group. We're going to start a whole new networking group in the area because there isn't any. I also put a paper out and had them all sign up who has pets and what they have. So that is for me. But while I was talking and introducing myself and explaining everything, I have a friend sitting here with me who was at the meeting, so she can even attest to it. As I was talking, I had people start asking me questions about the pet food. And I had at the very, I did stop them at that point. I know, but everybody wasn't there for that. So I stopped them and I just said, I will talk with you about the pet food and about everything that I do, but this isn't the time. We're our first meeting. We want to get through this and we want everybody to understand where we're going. I mean, we even made up a mall walking group and just lots of little groups, but the main nucleus is there. And Trisha knows, I was just very excited over it. But anybody can do this. Anybody, one of you can do this, and so I'm excited. We have our next meeting the beginning of November. And but in the meantime, I'm reaching out to all the individual group people and I told them, I am not running all these little groups. No way. I said, I will keep the nucleus together and I will sign up and join some of the other groups, but you guys have to step up and run some of them because I can't do it all. And
I love this, Pauline. Well done. I want to say the big lesson here for everybody is instead of waiting for a community to show up, Pauline made one. She made a network. And so I think oftentimes people will sit and wait. And I love that you said, like, you felt you were out of people to talk to, and you simply went to the Neighborhood app and created a common point of connection for people. Guys, if you were like, I'm out of connections, community is the first place to create them. And it can be anything. It could be absolutely anything. And I'm going to give you an example of this so that everybody, guys, when I was still in direct sales, or when I moved from LA to Colorado Springs, I lost my entire clientele as a hairstylist and I had to start all over, which means like looking for customers out of nowhere. And so I was just like, all right, cool. Where are my people hanging out? And so this applies for your direct sales business. And I made myself visible in places where I knew my customers would be hanging out. So I was like, I'm going to go to yoga. I'm going to go hiking. I'm going to join a book club. And I was like, all right. And I was just telling Roger and Kimberly about this. I was just like, instead of just finding random people, I thought, instead of, a lot of times we're like, how can I get there? Instead of like, well, who would be key people for me to get in front of or talk to that would help me grow my business? So do you know what I did? I was like, well, I did hair. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go to a swanky restaurant where there's a hostess, and I'm going to get all those hostesses who are working that Friday night, and they're going to come in to my salon, and I'm going to give them amazing blow dry services for free. So it means I'm donating my time, meaning I'm not seeing immediate return for my work. Okay. I said, come on in. I'd love to style and blow dry your hair. Anybody asks who did your hair, you hand them my card. And guess what? And so they're there being seen at this restaurant by all these women in town, and they have this amazing flowing hair. And guess what they're doing? They're handing out my card. Even though they're not my client, they're like, oh yeah, Kristen just down the way. She's new. She's from LA. Here's her card. Here's her card. Here's her card. I did the same thing. I did everywhere. And do what I also did when I was new to Colorado Springs? I was like, I need to meet people. So I started a walking group, a women's walking group. And that's what I did. Same thing as Pauline. And next it started with 10 people and then it became 30. And then there was a different group of people that showed up every time. I had clients, I had friends, because guess what happens? When you're in community, conversations are natural and people will inevitably ask you, what do you do? It just comes up. It's part of our society. So when I was out walking and strolling with all these women, what do you do? Well, I do hair. Oh, really? What would you do with my hair or whatever? And so with you guys, start walking groups. Be like, hey, bring your fur babies. We're going for a walk. I need friends. I need community. Start a book club, start knitting. Like there's so many things for you to do. I don't have anybody to talk to. That's an excuse. Take an active role and be like, who can I get around me? Notice I found who are people. So you might be like, hey, how am I willing to maybe take a loss on the front end to get in front of the right who? So that if they are on board with what I'm doing, that person's network becomes my network because of how I served them. And notice those girls, I didn't ask for a dime from them. I just knew they put me in front of the right people. And I knew if I just had them handing out my cards, and guess what inevitably happened? First of all, they loved the hairstyling so much they became my paying clients. So on average, and this is the lesson, and we'll wrap it up from here, and I'll hand it back to Roger. On average, at the time, they say it would take 18 months to 2 years for a stylist to get a fully booked clientele. I was fully booked in less than 6 months because I wasn't sitting in the salon waiting for somebody to walk in and find a hairstylist. I made myself seen, visible, and connected. And I made sure wherever I went, my hair looked great. So people were like, why does your hair look good? I'd be like, I do hair, right? And so this is, guys, you are not stuck. None of you are stuck. And I guarantee you have networks right in front of you that are gold mines if you just get in connection and community and have conversations. All right. On that note, and there's a PBO tonight. Roger, I'll hand that back to you to announce and remind, because I do have to get to another call.
All right, wonderful. Kristen, thank you so much. Such great advice. It's always so practical, don't you guys find? Even if she coaches, one or two individuals, I know they get hopefully a lot out of it, but we all get a lot out of it if we just take those nuggets and think about, okay, what of that applies to me and my situation? And I hope that's what you guys are doing as very active listeners and participants in this every week. And I hope, just a quick survey, how many of you will be at the PBO this evening, 7 p.m. Central? Excellent. I hope everyone, I mean, if you're working this business full time, I hope you can carve out that time to come support your community and be there, even if you don't have a prospect, right? But even better, to bring a prospect, and it's not too late. You get the whole day to find one or more people to invite. And so that's maybe the last thing I would just encourage you is, even if you've invited already a bunch of people, or if you haven't invited anybody yet tonight, invite someone, invite a handful of people. And that's where, that's what you can control, is the invitation. Now, if somebody decides to join or not, you know what, that's okay. That's on them. But you can control if you invite somebody to the PBO this evening. So I hope all of you will make time to be there tonight. I hope all of you will invite one or more people between now and the end of the day to be there with you. And I hope that they decide to come. And how wonderful if they do, and they show up to a big community of people and they say, wow, this is something, the train's leaving the station. I don't want to be left behind, because there's so many people there and the energy is so great. And they just, see that conviction that you guys all have. So I will look forward to seeing you next week. So nice to have a chance to introduce Kimberly to you guys today. And for those in the Salt Lake event tomorrow, we'll see you there. And for everybody else, we'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great week.
Bye.